Hi, Ted. Great to connect with you. How are you doing? Well, we're already live on Facebook because I know that you're pushed for time. So
that's okay. I'm okay. I got what I needed to get done, so I'm fine. It's great to see you, Carol.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's really good to
yeah.
see you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Great,
You've got
great.
lovely light around you.
Oh, thank you. It's
Yeah.
I have a lot of angels around me, and so they're always protecting and helping me out. So I really appreciate that. They're always around me. Of course, I got my Pleiadian friends too, and they say hi to you, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Thanks. Thanks.
so before I introduce you, I just would like to welcome everyone. This is the Cosmic Ascension Waves of Light with myself, Soma ARah, and guests. This evening it's Ted Mahr, all the way from America, Washington, I believe. Please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Carol Noonan, and come and join the Cosmic Waves of Light group on Facebook, and also the Great Awakening of Humanity 2020 group on Facebook. Today's date is the 17th of October 2020, and what a year it's been. Without any further ado, I would really like to welcome my guest this evening, Ted Mahr.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome,
Thank
Ted.
you.
It's really great to see you. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure, Carol. It's great to talk to you tonight. I just had my other show in San Francisco here a couple of hours ago, and so I still have all my equipment set up. So it was a good time for me. I have 3 radio shows in the San Francisco Bay Area, Miami, Florida, and Vienna, Austria. In San Francisco, I broadcast from 10 a.m. to 12 noon Pacific time, and today I had Dr. Andy Wakefield, who's from England. He's a famous scientist and doctor. And then I had Alfred Weber for the second hour. And then I did some prayers for rain on the West Coast. We're getting a lot of fires here still. And it's weird about the fires, Carol, because they appear every 30 miles along the major highways. They're not natural fires. People think they're either arson or started by particle beam weapons. And I mean, I went to school in California at Berkeley in the 70s. And back then, sure, they had some fires in the Sierra Nevadas and the mountains, but nothing like this. This is ridiculous. It's like, and they have fires burning in areas where they've never had fires before. And they've had fires burning in areas where it's raining, where there's tall trees, where there's nothing dry. Suddenly a fire starts. Try to explain that logically. So anyway, my website is www.outofthisworldradio.net. And I also do readings and lots of other things. And if you'd like, please go to my other website, which is outofthisworldreadings.com. And you can enroll in my spiritual mentoring program if you like. I have lots of things going on there. But
That's great, and I've got lots of questions for you.
okay, great.
So,
great.
is it only an hour you have, or are you pushed for time, or?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
If you want longer, that's fine. I've got some other things to do today, but I can fudge a little bit if necessary.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Thank you, Ted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, when I actually met Ted, was it 2 years ago now? And
2 years ago in Portsmouth.
Yeah, and that
That's
was a
right.
big. I know it was a big coincidence. And I don't believe in coincidences. I think it was divine intervention, perhaps, or Pleiadian. Pleiadian
Sure,
intervention.
absolutely. My friend Albert Einstein says there's no such thing as coincidences, and we live in a deterministic universe. So,
Yeah.
and I've learned to respect the messages from the other side. They're always right. So,
Yeah.
anyway. So.
And that was really interesting because I think it was just before or just after I was on your show. What I didn't tell you when I met you, because I was a bit dumbstruck at the time, was that I actually saw Albert Einstein on your face.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
how lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, and I didn't tell you because I was just taken aback.
He's laughing right now. He says that's right. His spirit was there.
Yeah.
We're actually part of the same soul family. In 1905, we split. He went off to Switzerland, and I went off to the United States. So anyway, I've been there ever since. But we are part of the soul family. And when my hair gets longer, we look alike, actually.
Yeah, no, I see the similarity.
Yeah.
But when I met you, Ted, I really saw his face, like what do you call that? Transfiguration mediumship, it's called in the UK. I don't know if it's the same in America, but in the UK it's called transfiguration mediumship.
Interesting.
There's been lots of changes with me here since I met with you, since I last saw you. I've actually started to channel the Pleiadians through my voice.
Excellent.
And I'll just keep it short because I know that you're, you know, I kind of want to get as much as I can from you this evening, let you speak as much as you know, within the time frame. So I was doing a live interview and they told me to close my eyes, so I did. And normally when I channel them, they're next to me. So they told me to close my eyes during a live interview, and I did. And they stepped into me, which I just went with it. And it was really beautiful. So I've now started to channel them through my voice. I'm still learning how that works and going with it. But to me, it's just, I'm very humbled. I feel very humbled to be able to do that, you know.
Sure.
So, yeah. So could you tell us who you channel and how that started? Because I know that you channel Albert Einstein, but you also channel other presidents as well from the past.
Well, first, let's back up to the Pleiadians a little bit. I'm in contact with Admiral Halosaurus, the commander of the Pleiadian fleet around the planet right now. And there's something like 2 million Pleiadian ships around the planet, all helping us here with the Ascension. Now, they're not like the tyrannical races, like the reptilians, who force their will upon us humans on the planet. Instead, they do respect free will. So in order to contact them, or if you want to contact them for help, put your right hand, if you're right-handed, or left hand, if you're left-handed, over your heart like this, bow your head slightly, and just send them lots of love and light. And Admiral Halosaurus is here today. Actually, he's listening. And I just want to send him lots of love and light and thank him for helping us in our ascension. I was aboard his mothership about a week ago, and I often go up there frequently. When I need a break, I'll go up there. It's a great ship. My God, there's like 5,000 people on board. There's almost 39 floors altogether. And the ship, the deck of where the commander is, where the admiral is, it's like a Las Vegas a hotel lobby, and it goes on for a long ways. And on each of the floors, you can see 360 degrees out into the universe. It's quite amazing. They're human just like us, except they're just in a higher dimension. They operate the ship both on engineering, but also through their thoughts. So if you're in a bad mood or have negative thoughts, don't come on board. They won't let you, because you could cause damage to the vessel. The ship itself is half organic and half metal, and I will be joining their crew after this life, I've been told. So anyway, so but they're here helping us. We are seeded from the Pleiades. There's actually been 22 different star systems which have come in and fiddled with us, fiddled with our DNA. And so we are considered, actually, we have a human base from the Pleiades, long story, but we also have that genetic heritage of being fiddled with. Well, we were even fiddled with by the reptilians too. That's what gives us our reptilian brains and the unnatural desire to eat meat. Now, normally humans don't eat meat, and we will get to that point here on this planet as well. But it'll come a time when that happens as we ascend higher and higher dimensions. I just came back from Mount Shasta a few days ago, and I've been floating around since that time. The glow could be part of that as well, because I do feel very uplifted, and I'm just, I mean, I hang around. I most of the time I'm in the fifth dimension, but I do come down to third because I got to, pay bills and have a cup of tea. I've stopped drinking coffee because I was getting too wired. It wasn't good for my nerves. But they're here to help us, and they're beautiful people, and I appreciate them so much for being here. I come from a psychic family where it's normal to talk to the other side. So I don't make much of a distinction between third, fourth, and fifth in terms of talking to people. Most people, when they pass over, they go to the fifth dimension. However, if you're a negative entity, you end up in the lower parts of the fourth dimension where there's a lot of negativity. It's kind of like, oh, I don't know if you've seen the movie Astral City. It's a great movie.
No, I haven't. No.
Yeah, it's based upon the true story of a Portuguese doctor who died, I think, in the late 20s or early 30s in Portugal, and he himself thought he was a good man. And so when he passed over, went to the other side, he was very surprised to find out that he ended up in the lower part of the fourth dimension with a bunch of negative entities. And finally, he cried out for help. And it's a benevolent universe. And so spirits came down to help him out. And they brought him to a spiritual hospital in the fifth dimension. And the movie's all about his experiences, how he progressed from being kind of a self-serving man and didn't do nice things for people and didn't treat his family well, to one of the ascended masters on the other side. It's a remarkable story. I urge you to watch it.
The Astral City.
Astral City, yeah. It came out some years ago, but it's a very good movie. You can find it on the internet. I don't like to publicize Amazon, but you can find it on there. Amazon is a corporate conglomerate run by the reptilians, but it does have the movie, so you can get it there. But anyway, and then of course I started channeling my good friends Albert Einstein and President Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy and Nostradamus back about 5 years ago now, five and a half years ago. I had been working on my radio show for the day at this library, and I was wondering what the world would be like. What would Albert Einstein say about what's happening in the world now? And so he told me that he contacted me. He said, when I was walking out of the library, he said, I hear you want to talk to me. And I said, who's this? And he says, it's Albert Einstein. And I said, I think I better sit down. So I sat down and we talked for about 3.5 hours. And then he introduced me to Leonardo da Vinci. And I had a lot of questions for Leonardo. And then from there, he introduced me to he asked me if I'd like to meet his friends. And I said, sure. So then I talked to Robert F. Kennedy was the first entity or being that came through. And then I said, I'd love to talk to your brother, John F. Kennedy. And of course, then President Kennedy, he said he's right here. So I've been in contact with President Kennedy since. And he's one of my spirit guides and good friends. So I always like talking to him and Jackie as well. He said that he's never stopped being our president on the other side. He's joked with me before. It said, what are they going to do? Kill me? He's already dead.
Yeah.
So, but that brings up the other point, is that when you pass over, notice the word pass over. It's not a termination thing. You're still very much alive. You're simply changed to another dimension. And once you realize that, it makes life easier. It takes the fear out of dying and know that you're just, you're a soul experiencing a human body here as part of this marvelous experience we call life here on Earth. And it's a school. This whole place is a school. Every day, every minute, sometimes you get lessons to be learned all the time. And so at one point, all of us were up toward the 10th and 11th dimensions, right next to the 12th dimension where the Supreme Being, or God, if you will, resides. And then somebody had the bright idea, maybe all of us did, to come down to the third and then start evolving again, working up the ladders, kind of like graduate school, redoing your Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science. So you do it all over again. So that's where we're coming from now, is that we've been here before. And the reason why we have such a huge range of emotions in us humans here, in this version of humans, is because we've been through this all before. And I have to tell you, at this ascension time, all eyes of the universe from many different extraterrestrial civilizations are now watching us to see what happens.
Yeah.
And they're all wishing us well. I know we will succeed. I've done time travel recently, and I've gone into March of next year. And by that time, many government leaders on this planet have been arrested, in jail, deposed, out of office. You don't see that everything that they've done, but you will see it. This is a time of disclosure where things that are true will become true, and those that are false will become evident as being false and fall by the wayside. So anyway.
Was it March the 23rd? Because I was shown the 23rd of March, but I wasn't sure why I was shown it. And the other thing I wanted to ask you, well, just mention really, is that for a number of years, I don't really get it anymore, but when I was in Ireland for a number of years, I kept being told about the Sistine Chapel. And I wasn't told anything else. They just kept saying the Sistine Chapel, the Sistine Chapel. And one other thing I wanted to ask you, I have a load of questions, Ted. So the other thing I wanted to... Sorry, go on.
Ask away, anything you like is fine.
Thanks. Thank you, Ted. I'm so delighted to connect in with you.
Oh, great. I don't do lotto numbers on Saturday, but I do them on Monday mornings if you like.
Monday morning. But what time? So the other thing I wanted to ask you, I know that when we met, you were saying that I would go onto the Pleiadian ships and that I would see them physically, because I tend to see them in my mind's eye behind me, like I see spirit.
Right.
The Pleiadians. But you were saying that I would go onto the ships physically, and also that I would see them physically. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but I probably shouldn't be asking you this publicly either, but...
well, if you have any private questions, you're welcome. We can talk later. No problem.
Okay, that would be great.
Actually, you know what? There's a chat room. Type it in if you like, and I can look at that privately now if you wish.
Yeah, that's great.
That.
So
hit chat if you want.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that now.
Just go ahead and type it in. It's fine. And I can keep talking if you like while you're typing away.
Great. Thanks, Ted.
Yeah. I know that we have a beautiful, bright future ahead of us, and I guess what happens is that if you listen to in the media in the United States is absolutely terrible. The mass media, all they do is forecast doom and gloom, and most of the time, I don't listen to television, and I don't listen. I do listen to the radio sometimes to see what's going on, but I'm careful what I expose myself to. Just about all of my information comes from angels and my spirit guides, and I listen to them, of course, and they're always 100% accurate. So regarding what's going on, but there's people have two minds. They have one mind between the ears. It's a third dimensional mind, and the other mind that they have is what's called their heart mind or intuition. And if you follow your heart mind, you'll always be correct in what you decide to do and the messages you get. So if you've got a hunch about something, or you're if you trust your intuition, it does work, and it works often much better than your logical mind. Try to boil everything down to what logic is. So yeah, I'm happy to answer that, no problem. I'm actually, I go on the Pleiadian mothership where Admiral Halosaurus is located frequently. I was just there about a week ago. And I went into healing chambers on the ship. And it's a long story, but that's part of the reason why I'm feeling better now with my teeth. I also want to thank Michiko Hayashi, the Emoto Peace Project. She has Haro machines invented by Dr. Emoto, and I know she's been doing a lot of remote healing for me too, and I know that's helped as well. If you look up in the sky, you can actually see the Pleiadian ships too. They're rectangular based with a bright white light in the middle. They're huge motherships, by the way. And when I was at Mount Shasta in early July of this year, we actually had one of their ships come fairly close to the campsite to the point where we could see into the vessel, in through the picture windows. We could see people walking around inside. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, but there's over 2 million Pleiadian ships right now circling the planet. If you look up in the sky, you're bound to see them. All you have to do is look.
I
And
know.
they're not stars, and they're not weather balloons, and they're not birds flying at 2 o'clock at 11 o'clock at night, flashing. They're not aircraft either. They're UFOs from the Pleiades. So
I actually saw something last night, or yesterday evening. I think it must have been about 7 o'clock. And I was outside and I saw 3 round circular objects in a triangle shape. But someone was saying they were drones, and they could have been. I don't know what they were, but they were in a triangle shape. So there was three circular
right. I got
objects,
drones.
but
Yeah,
in a triangular shape.
Yeah, I got drones.
Yeah.
I got drones. Yeah, they're there. And anyway, it's but there's a lot going on in the skies. If you look, if you see a red tinted a UFO object, that's reptilian. That's a reptilian craft. Avoid it at all costs. Don't connect with it. They view humans as food. So it's not the greatest thing. But they have a Mercury-based propulsion system. The Pleiadians and other galactics use a different system. Also, the Nazi Space Force also uses the same technologies as the reptilians do. It's a Mercury-based system. I don't know too much about it. I do know that their craft have a red shift. So anyway, yeah, but they're here. And the Pleiadians, by the way, look just like us, except that they're in a higher dimension, and they live for at least 1,000 years, usually more. Actually, they can live up to 25,000 years. On most advanced human civilizations beyond this planet, they live for at least 1,000 years. So we're the babies of the universe. If we're lucky, we'll live 80, 90 years. But the ironic thing is that, Carol, that people by that age are just starting to wake up, asking, well, why did I work my whole life? What's the meaning of all this? Just work and then I die, And people often ask spiritual questions toward the end of their lives. But many people now are waking up. Young people are, middle-aged, all ages are waking up now. And it's really it's a great spiritual awakening. It's a beautiful time to be alive. Yeah, beautiful time to be alive.
I've heard two people recently. I've heard Stephen Greer, who I followed for a number of years, and I heard recently that him say that he doesn't believe there's any negative ET energies. And then I heard someone else say, I forget his name now, Hawk's blood, something Hawk's blood. I heard him say that there are no positive ET energies.
Okay, both statements are disinformation. Both statements are incorrect. The truth is that there's both good and it's like the old Clint Eastwood movie, Good, Bad, and the Ugly. There's good ones and there's bad ones. There's ugly ones. There's neutral ones. There's there's all gradations of alien species out there. I respect Mr. Greer's work. I have nothing against him. However, he was abducted when he was like 17 or 18 years old by some Greys, which are a slave species of the reptilians, and they took him aboard their craft, and the Greys said that we're here to help humanity, and that the only good species visiting your planet, we're all good. So he has taken that message since that time and told everybody that there's only good aliens out there. That is incorrect, in my opinion, because there are groups of good ones and groups of bad ones as well. The good ones are called the Galactic Alliance. Their formal name is the Galactic Alliance of Interdimensional Free Worlds. They have approximately 450 million planets, or 7 or 8 trillion entities among their group. They're mostly, but not all, human. They are between 50 and 100,000 years ahead of us technologically, and 30 to 50,000 years ahead of us spiritually. And they're here to help us. They are very benevolent. If you want to contact them, take your hand over your right hand over your heart if you're right-handed, or left hand if you're left-handed over your heart, and do what's called the hue. The hue is a meditation technique. It brings them in, and just say it with me. We'll say it 3 times. Hue. They're here. Let's do it twice more. Hue. And 1 time. Hue. Okay. All right. And they're here now. And you can call them and ask them for help. The other group are called the Reptilians. I forget what their formal name is, but I really don't care. I don't pay attention to them. I only know enough to stay away from them.
Lizzies?
I'm sorry?
Lizzies?
Lizzie. Lizards. Yeah. Well, they are the Galactics are service to others based upon love, peace, and harmony. The Reptilians are based upon are warlike. They feed off of what's called the loosh, or negativity. They feed off of war and conflict, and they're based on their service to self. And they themselves have come up to an evolutionary cul-de-sac where they think of it as a spiral going up, and then suddenly it just stops. They're cut off from God, or cut off from source, and they feel like they're the be all and end all of evolution. So that's one thing. And they look at humans as food. They like to eat us. They also look at us as a resource to be exploited. In 22 other star systems, the Reptilians have come in and offered benefits to planets like Earth, that in exchange for their cooperation, the elite's cooperation, that they would be allowed to exploit exploit us and take our resources, including our DNA. And in these 22 other star systems, each time they've asked the elites to reduce the population down about 90-95%. On Earth, they want to reduce it 95% to what they term a small, manageable type slave population of about 500 million, where they can extract the resources. And then in other star systems, they've always blown up the planet with an antimatter bomb to get rid of it, and it destroys all life, including all spiritual life on the planet. That, however, is not going to be allowed by the supreme being, or the creator of this planet, or God, if you will, because we are destined to ascend and transform ourselves into a beautiful new planet, and that's happening right now. For entities who do not wish to go along with this new program, that's fine. That's their free will choice, but they will be taken off the planet and taken to a new. It's already been created. It's a new third dimensional planet that's on the other side of the solar system. That's negatively. It's just in a lower vibration, where they'll work out their karma for one Mayan Katun cycle of 25,800 years. Now, 25,800 years is the amount of time that it takes for this solar system to go around the central sun of this universe. And that's a long time. George Bush is there now, and other negative entities are there as well. Hold on. Thanks so much. Okay. Anyway, so that's what's happening now. You will be ascending too, along with everyone else, people going. And I'm sure that you know that there are negative entities out there who don't want to ascend, and that's fine. That's their choice. No judgment. It's just that they're they'll be giving another chance. As my friend Albert Einstein has said, that matter once created is never destroyed. It's simply transformed into something else. And that's what's happening now with that.
Sorry to interrupt you, Ted. When you say you, do you mean me or do you mean us collectively?
Well, I meant you.
Okay.
In literal term. But you know.
Well, that's good to know, because I've been wondering.
Sure. And the other thing too is that some people are just awake and aren't awake. They're kind of asleep. And for them, they may be delayed by several thousand years, sometimes 5 or 10,000 years before they're allowed to ascend. It sort of depends. I've wondered about that as well. For people who actually refuse to wake up, it'll be necessary for them to go through the complete Khatun cycle of 25,800 years, as this planet in this solar system goes around the central sun. Not this planet, but the sister planet.
Mm.
Other people may be delayed a couple thousand years, or maybe 10 to 15. It's free will choice. It's theoretically possible to ascend faster than the 25,800 year cycle, but you got to make right choices. It's true in our lives today. Every day you have to make right choices or try to. Yeah. What I do, I always follow my heart mind regarding things, and I think it's a good idea to do that. So I also have a spiritual mentoring program. If people are interested in give readings, you can write me about it at outofthisworldradio1150@gmail.com if you're interested, or go to my website at www.outofthisworldradio.net, or if you'd like to order my book or anything, you can go to outofthisworldreadings.com. So
thanks for sharing those, Ted.
Sure.
I wanted to share some things because I was thinking of them as you were talking. And so since February, when the COVID kicked off, I went into the garden and I channeled the Pleiadians. I reconnected with them because I hadn't connected with them for a while. And they gave me a whole download of information. And some of the things were that some of the things I've channeled since then are, one of them is that there's two beams of light hitting the earth, two beams of energy hitting the earth at the moment. One is positive and one is negative. And this energy is going to intensify and increase to the point where the earth is going to twist and pull apart and divide into two.
It already is now.
One is going to go into a higher dimension, a higher frequency, right. Higher energy. Right. And the lower, this one will stay where it is, or it will drop into a lower frequency energy or dimension. And the other thing I just want to share quickly with you is that we are going into a time where we have 13 strands of DNA, and we may have had 13 strands in the past, but we're definitely going into a time where we have 13 right. strands of DNA, not 12. Right. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, because it when you were talking, it made me think of that, you know.
Right. Well, that's very true, actually. We were, when I mentioned earlier about being fiddled with by all these different races, we were fiddled with by the Anunnaki, which is a human civilization that was taken over by the reptilians. And they wanted us as slave workers to mine gold for their own planet of Nibiru, because their planet was losing oxygen. But they realized, their scientists realized, that if they used gold particles and sprayed it throughout their atmosphere of Nibiru, that would hold in the oxygen. And so they shut down all these other strands of DNA, so we would become good worker bees. But now we are starting to wake up, and that's coming in. Something interesting is that Fluoride also has been used to shut us down, shut our pineal gland, especially during World War II. Adolf Hitler signed a technological and trade agreement with the reptilians in 1936, and as a result of that agreement, the reptilians told him to use fluoride in the Nazi concentration camps, which he did. And the fluoride, what it does is that it ossifies the pineal gland and shuts it down, so that you lose your creativity and the ability to have any kind of intuition and ability to talk to angels or God on the other side. And your pineal gland is very interesting. It has cells there that are identical to the cells in your eye, so you can see, and that's what it does. So anyway, Hitler used the fluoride in these concentration camps to create docile, obedient slave workers that companies like Nestle used during World War II to enslave humanity in their own companies. And what's happened since then is that after 1945, when the United States government brought over a lot of these Nazis as Operation Paperclip to work in the United States, those Nazis urged the U.S. government to also use fluoride in the municipal water supplies, which we did. And today, 70% of all municipal water supplies in the United States are fluoridated. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 100% of all municipalities, or most places in England, also fluoridate their water too, in the guise of health, whatever that means. Back in the 11th century, they did bloodletting in England, and in the guise of health, they drain people's blood out and they die, thinking that you're getting rid of the bad blood, right? Well, anyway, as a result of that today, the fluoride itself, it diminishes IQ, it limits your intelligence, it shuts you down, so you don't have any kind of ability to be intuitive or anything. In Canada, they did a study a couple of years ago where Toronto has fluoridated water, but Vancouver on the west coast of Canada doesn't fluoridate their water. Actually, have beautiful water in Vancouver. It's really nice. I don't think they they don't. I know they don't fluoridate it. I don't think they use any chlorine either. It's beautiful water from the mountains around Vancouver. So they did a study of the schools, and guess what they found? The IQ level of intelligence quotient of students in Toronto, in the colleges and universities and high schools there, are 20% lower across the board for the whole country. 20% lower than in Vancouver, British Columbia, on the other coast, where they don't fluoridate their water.
That's very interesting.
Yeah,
that's very interesting.
So if you do live in a city that does fluoridate their water, two options: move to a place out in the countryside or another country that doesn't fluoridate their water. Secondarily, if you stay, just get yourself a good water filter to filter out the water, so you don't lose when you drink it. The other thing too, very important, is get a water filter for your bath or shower, because 30% of your water intake comes through your skin, and if you're bathing in fluoridated water, you're going to get that into your system as well. If you are in an area that has fluoridated water, there's a very simple remedy called Arctic skate liver oil, spelled ARCTIC, and then skate, SKATE, liver oil.
I'm just going to grab my pen, Ted. How do you spell that again? Sorry.
I'll just send it to you on a text.
Okay.
And sometimes it says fermented. It's called Arctic skate liver oil, and you can use it. It costs about $30 for 120 capsules. I think there's a place on the web called greenpastures.com or something close to that, .org.com, whatever, .net, and you can order it there. And if you take one capsule a day, it's completely harmless. And fish oil anyway is good for you. It's got vitamin D, no side effects. You take one capsule per day for 2 weeks, and then it'll take all the fluoride out of your system. And then after that, I would take one every other day. And so a bottle of 120 capsules can last you 6 months, easy. $30, 6 months. Get rid of all the fluoride. It's good.
Yeah, that's good, because sometimes I do. In a couple of places I've lived, when I used to live in Lewisburg in the west coast of Ireland, I was living in a very rural area in the middle of nowhere. And sometimes I could actually smell the chlorine in the bath.
Right.
And here, actually the same thing. I can smell it, so I know it's really strong. And sometimes it seems to fluctuate,
Right.
Yeah. So
Can I give a present to you and your listeners today?
Yes, please.
A spiritual present? Sure. Okay. The reptilians have implanted us all with negative implants. And so what I want you to do is there's two levels of implants. There's one on the surface and there's also ones attached to your soul. And if you want to get rid of the ones on the surface, it's very simple to take them out. Just say it after me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Please say
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I receive from the goddess within me.
I receive from the goddess within me.
Complete ownership and control.
Complete ownership and control.
Over all the negative implants within me.
Over all the negative implants within me.
And nothing.
And nothing.
And no one.
And no one.
Can negatively influence or control me.
Can negatively influence or control me.
And I know it to be true.
And I know it to be true.
Okay, you have all this beautiful white light that just appeared on your top crown chakra, around your hair, cheeks, and shoulders. So it does have an effect. Now, you'll know the difference because if you, at night, have you ever had a situation where you've had a good day and you're home and it's quiet, but yet you have negative thoughts in your head? Those are the implants. And they were put there by the reptilians to turn people away from being loving, kind, and service to others to being angry, upset, and service to self. They try to change human nature with these implants and feed off the whoosh. The reptilians feed off negativity and war. They love fighting. They love it when we have a war on this planet, a bunch of people are killed. They just feed off of that. That's what they do. But if you say that now, at night now, when you go home tonight, I know it's late there, if you've had a good day and you're in a good mood, you're not going to have those negative thoughts again. Now, there's two, and it's permanent. So just say that once. Now, there's two levels of implants. There's one on the surface, and there's also those attached to your soul. And to get out the soul ones, what you do, you say the hue at night 3 to 5 times, goes like this. Hue. Just say that. If you're around people who might think you're weird, whatever, just say it to yourself. It'll have the same force and effect. And then while you're doing it, ask the galactics to come in or to take out those soul implants, and they will. If you do it tonight, they will take out your soul implants tonight. It works that quickly. So you just need to say it once. That's all.
So, Ted, do you channel the President Eisenhower as well?
I do. I've channeled Presidents Eisenhower, Washington, Kennedy, Teddy Roosevelt, John Quincy Adams, George Washington. Really like George Washington. Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, I've channeled all them. Yeah.
And when did you? Because I know that you come from a spiritual family with psychics and mediums. But when did you realize that you were connected to the Pleiadians? Did you have an aha experience or moment, or how did that?
76, 77.
And what happened?
I was just attracted to the Seven Sisters star system. I mean, that's where I came from before here, was from the Pleiades.
Yeah.
I volunteered to go down there. I've been here a long time. I've been here almost 52,000 years, or 2 million Khatun cycles. And I want to go home. This is my last life before I ascend. And but time is short. I've waited 52,000 years for this moment in human history to happen. So it's been a long time. And
that's a long shift, Ted.
That's a long shift. Yeah, it's a long shift. But I like planet Earth. It's a beautiful planet. But I know where I'm going after this life. And but that's why I'm working as hard as I do now. I try to make every day count if I can. So it's good to be here.
And do you feel that you're here in this lifetime now for this time that we're in on Earth at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Do I think what? I'm
Do,
sorry.
do
Carol,
you
what?
do you feel that you're here now in this lifetime for this time on Earth at the moment, the Great Awakening?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's a funny quote by Data on Star Trek where he said, in dealing with the board, that resistance is futile. And resistance is futile to this new ascension. There's nothing that the negatives can do to stop it. Absolutely nothing. And the more of them that wake up and realize that, the better off they'll be too.
Mm.
Because God, they're all part of creation, and God loves them all.
Mm.
And even for people who are not awake or on a negative path, there's always time to turn around. That was one of the messages of that movie I told you about, Astral City, is that even the people in this lower fourth dimension who've lost their way, basically, they can always turn around if they want, but they have to ask, and it has to be a soul decision on their part, free will. And free will is respected by the supreme being, the creator of all of this. You know, the benevolent extraterrestrials never force their will upon people. It always has to be a free will choice.
And you've got a great connection to Mount Shasta. I was shown years ago that what I believe I was shown is that Lemuria was beneath Mount Shasta, and is beneath. Okay. Okay.
Telos, but that's basically Lemuria. It was Lemuria that well, it's kind of a long story, but 12,500 years ago, the Atlanteans went off on a negative pathway, and they tried to control the world, and they failed, and they ended up blowing up much of the planet with crystalline and nuclear technology. Yeah. And Lemuria itself, much of it was destroyed, but 25,000 people escaped from Lemuria. They went into these caverns underneath Mount Shasta, which are 125 miles beneath the mountain, and with all of their technology intact, but with 25,000 people, and they of course reproduce themselves, and today the population is about 1.3 million. It's beneath the mountain now.
That's what I was shown. I was shown that that people are living, or beings are living beneath Mount Shasta, and that's where Lemuria was. The other thing I wanted to share with you, Ted, is that years ago, when I first started to channel the Pleiadians, at the very beginning, when I was consciously channeling them, one of the first things they said to me is that the doubt about the downfall of Atlantis, and negative ET energy came in and overtook Atlantis, and a large meteor hit the Earth and knocked the Earth off its axis, and so there were catastrophic events on Earth, which but it's all related to now. So a large meteor hit the Earth and knocked the Earth off its axis, and our DNA was changed, dumbed down, manipulated. And now this is a reversal of everything that happened at Atlantis. So it is connected, because the Earth is going back to her natural axis, and there will be catastrophic events again. And that's not to put fear in people, that's just to inform people. And our DNA is raising. So the Earth is shifting and we are shifting. And everything is a reversal now of what happened at Atlantis. And the difference being that the Atlanteans didn't see the negative energy coming, but we do.
Right, that's true. That's true. Actually, some Atlanteans did see the negative energy coming, but there was a small military and civilian elite of people. Many of those spirits are back here today, by the way. Yeah, but they didn't. They recognized, didn't care. They were so into power. They thought they were invincible. That's just it. The reptilians feel like they're invincible too, but they're not. You know, they're all subject to the higher spiritual authority and God, if you will. But many of those entities who were back in Atlantis came back now George Bush Sr. came back. He was back in Atlantis, but he made the same choices again. He was given an opportunity. He became president of the United States. He could have done a lot of good things, but he's off on the other planet now. He'll be there for 25,800 years, and I wish him well, and I hope he makes better choices this time. That's all you can really say.
Speaking of other planets, I've had a lot of experiences and dreams and information and downloads and upgrades and all kinds of things happen to me since February. And one of the things I've seen is in a dream time, I was taken to what I now believe was Mars. And a woman took me up in a lift, and she had long, dark, curly hair to probably down to her waist. And she was telling me, and she didn't feel good, but she was telling me to look over there. And they had large machinery and like bulldozers and just large machinery, building equipment. And they were building, and there was a sense of urgency, a sense of urgency. They needed to get all this stuff built, and they needed to do it now. And they were building vast areas of buildings, I guess. But they were, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know much more than that, other than they're building with a sense of urgency. A sense of urgency.
When was this? Was this on Mars, you said?
I believe it was Mars, yeah. Okay. I believe it was Mars.
How long ago was this?
This was about 2 or 3 months, maybe 4 months. 4 months ago. It was between now and February, but I would say 3 or 4 months. 3 or 4 months ago.
Mars is inhabited by the secret space program, by the Nazis, and they have basically like slave labor camps on Mars, and also on there's an asteroid called Ceres, Ceres, in that asteroid belt beyond Mars as well, which is a Nazi colony. I think the Nazis, I haven't meditated on it recently, but they were there. They've been there for many years, since World War II. Yeah. I don't know if they're still there. I got to know. That's all going to be part of the disclosure, which will be happening in the next couple of months. So that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. It's funny, some of the experiences and dreams we have. And sometimes it takes, I know for me, sometimes it takes me time to process and integrate it and feel my way into it or around it, or I need time to let it sit with me before I will talk about it publicly,
Right. Well, a lot of times the people will come, entities will come to you in dreams, because your astral plane, it's easier to talk to you in the astral plane then, because you are in the 5th dimension when you dream. You're in the dream state in the 5th dimension. And the 3rd dimension, you sometimes maybe have barriers or blocks that you're not even aware of that can stop you from communicating with the other side as well. Yeah.
And thank you, Ted. One of my ultimate dreams is to move to America and to set up a spiritual center, spiritual community, retreat center. Do you ever see me doing that? Do you envision that? I don't know.
I do. The time is not right to do that yet. I see that 3 to 5 years off, maybe 2. It depends a lot on politics and what happens on the free will choices. But I do see you doing that, but not for a couple more years. You're supposed to be in England now raising consciousness, which you are. But I do see you doing that, but not for a little while longer.
Okay, because I am planning to move to America as soon as possible. So I'm looking at next year. Do you see that happening next year, me moving?
You can try. I mean, you can try. Let's discuss this off air. Okay. Better off air.
Yeah. Okay, better so, off air. Yeah. Thanks, Ted. So Have you had any messages recently that you'd like to share?
Yeah, the whole planet is propelling itself much faster into the fifth dimension than others thought possible. And what's happening with all this, I mean, the problems we've had recently with Antifa and Black Lives Matter and this pandemic, is that it's all an attempt by the negatives to try to shut down and stop our ascension, but it's not going to work. As Data has said on Star Trek, you know, resistance is futile. Um, they can try whatever they want, but it's actually what's happened, even though it's been a tough time for many people around the world, especially, you know, here in the United States and elsewhere, is in England, Canada, etc., lots of other places, is that we are learning to cooperate and help each other more than they ever thought possible. For example, President Kennedy has told me, like last January, just when this fake crisis started with the virus, that there was like 65% of humanity were emitting positive light into the universe. And since that time, it's gone up to about 90%. So there's been a rise of about 25% of humanity, which has shifted from service to self to service to others, and helping each other with love and compassion, regardless of their situation. So that's what I'm seeing, that things are actually getting better. Although if you listen to the national news, you'll never hear that, of course.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of times in this country, that's all you hear in our media is about COVID, COVID, COVID. I get sick of it. I can't listen to I can't listen to TV anymore, and I almost can't listen to radio stations. If they start getting negative, I just flick them off. I don't have time for nonsense, you know, and I don't think most people do. So I trust my heart, mind, and I always try to ferret out good information to people to give them hope, because that's what my guides have told me, that we have a beautiful, bright future ahead of us. That's why. You know.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think, you know, this is the last battle, and
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and I both sides are fighting for their very lives. So yeah, but I do see a very positive outcome, a new world, a new earth, a new beginning, a new dawn of humanity. So I think that you know, like you, I can't watch any I'm sick of the COVID stuff, and
Yeah, it's old.
It's old news now. Yeah, and I think people are I think even normal people are have had enough of it. You know, they want to move on with their lives.
Yeah, it's fake news, you know.
Yeah.
It's fake news.
The pandemic.
Yeah. Pandemic, right?
Yeah.
You know.
And I've never voted, and I'm not interested in politics at all. Whatever country it is. But and I've never voted. But I do believe that because some of the dreams I've had, that I very much believe that Trump is a good guy and a light worker, and as well as Putin, and they those two are connected. They have a quite a special connection going on. What's your take on Trump?
Mr. Trump is a time traveler. He's come from the past to help us now and into the future. He is the perfect person for these times. But having said that, there are aspects of his personality I really don't like that much. He can be very abrasive sometimes, but he's a very successful businessman. I mean, and he had to be that way in order to get where he is today. I don't hold it against him, you know. And all of us here on this planet are imperfect. We all make mistakes, but I know his heart is in the right place to help people. As one example, I do fundraise for money for clean water and food for the Hopi Indians in Arizona, where they've been drinking like carcinogenic radiation and arsenic contaminated water for the past 60 or 70 years. No president in the last 50 or 100 years has ever helped the beautiful Hopi Indians like President Trump have. Recently, he stepped in and with the help of American Airlines got $20,000 donation to the Hopis for clean water and clean food. Now, that's never happened before. The Hopis tried to get the Obama administration 5 years ago to get clean water to the reservations because they they're dying from this bad water. The longevity of men on the Hopi reservation is only 44 years and women 54 years, which is about half, or at least maybe 70, 80% less than the rest of the population of the United States. But Obama refused to give them any help at all. So when I found that out, I started fundraising, and so far we've raised over $35,000 for clean water and over 5,000 or 6,000 for. Actually, it's not, probably more like 55,000. I don't know. There's been quite a bit raised for clean water, and I'll be going down to the Hopi next week to help them as a fundraiser down there too. But they're beautiful people, and I think they need to be treated a lot better than they are, and to be respected for their beautiful knowledge and wisdom of history. But getting back to Trump, I think he's overall a good man. Not perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody on this planet is perfect. If you're perfect, you'd be an angel flying around. But I think he's doing the best he can. And I'm supporting him in the election, and I hope he wins.
Yeah, he's I also feel he's got looking into glass technology.
He does.
And yeah, I just anyway, moving on.
Moving on. Yeah.
So for people listening, if they want to donate, how can they donate for the Hopi? Is there a website?
Okay. Yeah, there's a website. Just go to my, there's a new website, www.outofthisworldreadings.com. Just outofthisworldreadings.com. And I think there's a little thing that says miscellaneous on it. And on that tab, you just click on it and you'll see you'll see a link and a picture for the Hopi and how to donate. That works out fine. Or they can just send a donation to me at my address here, which is Ted Mahr, M-A-H-R, Post Office Box 5331, Lacey, Washington, L-A-C-E-Y, Washington, 98509 in the US. That's one way, but that's all on the website too. If they want to support my program, they can go to www.outofthisworldradio.net, and there's some PayPal buttons there. It's like $5 a month or $50 for the year. If I may, I'd like to read a, this is from Hopi Prophecy. On the reservation, they have what's called Prophecy Rock, which there's two lines on it. The middle line, the bottom line is a line that goes straight around the rock like this. And it's a line where it shows that people, if we make the right choices, we can live in peace and harmony and have a beautiful future for ourselves and our children for many generations to come. That's the one line. That's the bottom line. The top line is a line that goes up 45-degree angle, zigzags, and then stops. That's the line if we continue to fight and argue and not to live in peace and harmony. Our civilization will definitely stop if that happens. So I'd like to read this now. I was just looking for it today, and it says, this is from Hopi Elders. You have been telling the people that this is the 11th hour. Now you must go back and tell the people that this is the hour. There are things to be considered. And they ask, where are you living? What are you doing? What are your relationships? Are you in the right relation? Where is your water? Know your garden. It is time to speak the truth. Create your community. Be good to each other. Do not look outside yourself for the leader, because it's within you. This could be a good time. There is a river flowing now very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid. They will try to hold on to the shore, but it won't work. They will feel that they are being torn apart, and they will suffer greatly. Know that the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, keep our eyes open and our heads above the water. See who is in there with you and celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment that we do, our spiritual growth and journey comes to a halt. The time of the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves. Banish the word struggle from your attitude and vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. We are the ones we've been waiting for. The elders are a Rabi, a Hopi Indian nation. So that was given to me by a listener named Naomi in Florida. Beautiful saying. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you.
That's beautiful, Ted. Thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure. And again, if people want to contact me for more information, feel free to visit my websites at outofthisworldradio.net or outofthisworldreadings.com, or they can send me an email to outofthisworld1150@gmail.com. And my cell number in the United States, if they want to call, is 509-750-9793, and my Skype address is Ted Mahr, TEDMAHR OTW radio. So
and your book as well, Ted. You've got your book.
Right, yeah, it's called Messages from the Masters. It's messages from Albert Einstein, John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, Nostradamus, and many other great spirits on our beautiful, bright future. That's just $20. Includes a free reading with the book, brief reading. And if you'd like it, just please go to my website at outofthisworldreadings.com. Click on miscellaneous, and you can see the book there and make all the arrangements. It's a little higher if you order it from outside the U.S., but I'll get it too, just because the postage is a little bit higher outside of the U.S. I think Canada is $25 and UK is $30, but I'm happy to. You can also get it off Amazon too if you want, but there's no reading with that book. So.
And I'm not done yet. I still have questions for you.
Okay, my energy's getting a little low, but let's go another 10 minutes then. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask about because I know you've had lots of experiences in Mount Shasta, going on to Pleiadian ships and craft. And I wanted to ask, how do you experience it? Is it a physical thing, or are you in dream time, or is it a meditation, or is it physical?
That's a good question. Because I'm in the fifth dimension anyway, a lot of the time now, the physicality doesn't matter to me. I just go there in my mind, just like that. In September 2016, there were a group of Koreans who did go in physically into the hollow earth. And it's a long story, everything. You can listen to their interview if you like at www.outofthisworldradio.net, and then you look at past shows or past guests at the top tab and just click on that and go to 2016 September, and you can click onto their interview I had with them just when they came out of the hollow earth. The Pleiadian says that it's not completely safe for them to come down and pick us up physically and bring us aboard the ship. So there are still negative extraterrestrials out there, like the reptilians. They'll be gone soon, by the way. So I'm looking at about 2 years out before people can go physically on board the ships. By that time, there'll be disclosure, and it will be easier and safer to board the ships. So, but if anybody likes any help with that, I can just send them an email to outofthisworld1150@gmail.com. I'm happy to help anybody.
Okay. And you take groups out to Mount Shasta. I'm hoping to, at some point, to come and join you. I don't know when that will be, but I definitely want to join you in Mount Shasta at some point in the future. Okay,
great. Well, they are. I know flights people are flying now from the UK to the States and back and forth, so that's no problem.
Oh, they are? Because I thought they'd stop. I thought America was no.
No, President Trump helped out your prime minister here a couple of months ago when he got the COVID virus, and so I think the flights have been flying now for the past couple of months. Since August, they've been flying.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, they are flying now.
What do you think of Boris?
Well, hold on. I'll be going back to Shasta again in June, July, and August twice in September next year.
Okay.
And for more information, go to my website, www.outofthisworldreadings.com, and just click on miscellaneous.
Okay.
Now, everyone who comes has to be cleared first by Adama and people of Telos. And so I don't allow any negative energy into the trip. We had some problems this year with negative entities coming in and trying to cause some harm, but I have taken steps now to make sure that never happens again. So anyway, most people are welcome to come. However, if you're there for negative reasons, you will not be allowed to come, period. But so anyway, having said that, most people are good and most people can come. Just have to be of a high vibration. There's other spiritual protocols to follow, and I can be happy to tell anyone around that.
Thanks, Ted. And what do you think of Boris?
You know, for one thing, our news is limited here in the United States. When you flip on national news, you get sports, you get the weather, and you get stupid, silly little stories published by the mass media or disinformation.
Okay.
Most of the time, you don't get any news worth crap, to be honest with you.
Okay.
We get almost nothing about Boris. If anything, they're much more like to publish negative things.
Yeah.
In my heart, I think he's generally a good guy trying to do the best things he can. But I cannot comment too much about him except for what my heart tells me, and he's okay. You know, he's not perfect, but I think he's trying to do good work for the people of the UK. But that's all I know because our media is totally sanitized. There's nothing but garbage on it. So as far as countries go, we hear a lot about what's happening in Canada because it's so close. But from what I've heard, there's nothing good coming out of the Trudeau administration in Canada. I don't hear any good news at all. I never see any good news from Canada. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting that how. Sorry, to go on.
And Mexico was never shut down during this pandemic. They have a totally working economy. Everything's fine. People are healthy. There's almost no COVID cases there, and yet they don't wear masks or do social distancing. They just don't.
Yeah, it's the same in Egypt. It's the same in Egypt. They're living their lives as normal and everything's fine. And
and that's
I don't know
it should be.
Statistics.
And so that's true. Yeah.
And is there anything else that is there anything you'd like to share with people listening? Any final
use this time. I want everyone to know that things are going to get better. My angels on the other side have never been wrong. That's what they keep telling me. Use this time for meditation and connecting with family and friends. Instead of looking at a negative way about how horrible the shutdown is, it is bad, but use it as a time for meditation, connecting with your family and friends, maybe relatives or parents or children you haven't seen in a long time. Know that there's good times coming. I know that here in my home state, in Washington State, our governor has said that the end of these restrictions will happen one day after the federal election. So he's kept these restrictions on masks and no businesses totally political. There's no health reasons for it. It's all political based to keep us locked up in a police state. And people know it. And, that we're not completely stupid. I can see it. Many people have seen it. They detest this guy. And anyway, know that good times are coming. And this is also a time of truth, that things that are true will be shown to be true. And then people will realize it. And those that are negative will be shown to be negative as well and fall by the wayside. So please know that there are good things coming. Do kind things for people if you can. If you see a homeless person on the street, if you don't have any, give him a little money. But if you don't have any money, just talk to him. Give us some kind words. And those little things like that really do help make the planet a better place. It's the small things that count, not so much the big things, I think. There was an attorney I had on my show a couple of years ago. His name's Garnet Schulheiser from Canada, and he'd been a big lawyer in Calgary and earned a lot of money, millions of dollars for his law firm. And he had he was visited by an angel. His angel told him the most important thing he had ever done as an attorney was not win all that money for his clients and millions of dollars, but instead to help out a homeless lady, where he talked to her for a half hour about social services and how she could get her life back on the track. And she did. She became a very happy woman after that. Found a fellow, got married, had children, very successful career, and so that's what I'm seeing. So it's the little things that count for people, not so much the big things. Sometimes big things help too, but little things do help. Be kind to each other. Spread as much love and kindness as you can among your family, your neighbors, your family, your friends. And if somebody's negative to you, don't go down to their level. Try to maintain a positive thing, and think the best of people rather than most negative. Okay.
Thank you, Ted. And
Okay.
it's been so great to connect with you. I really would love to have you on again and love to connect with you again.
Sure. Anytime's fine. Anytime's fine. But I now must go off to do other things this afternoon that I need to do. So anyway, but it's so good to talk to you, Carol. Keep up your good work. You're helping so many of humanity with your wonderful messages. And thank you so much again for having me on. My website again is outofthisworldradio.net or outofthisworldreadings.com. So anyway, Carol, I hope you have a really happy and beautiful day. And thank you again for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ted. And I'll send you another Zoom in a minute, a private one.
Right. No problem. Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
But thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
And be love, everyone. Be kind.